my headlamp assembly. I have my turn signal, forward flasher, marker light, reflector, low beam, high beam. All of those lights are properly mounted and secured, not cracked or broken or missing, functioning properly, proper color. Underneath, I'm looking for leaks and puddles, no hanging wires. Now I'm coming around to the passenger side. On the passenger side of my truck, I have my upper radiator hose and my air conditioning hoses. They're properly mounted, secured, not cut, torn, or frayed, or leaking. Next, I have my exhaust, which runs from the front to the back of the truck. It's properly mounted, secured, it's not cracked or broken. It's not leaking. If it were leaking, I would see signs of soot where the leak is. Next, I would check my alternator, which is belt driven. It's properly mounted, secured, it's not cracked or broken or missing, and no bolts are missing. Also, my alternator belt is not cut, torn, or frayed, and it has no more than 3/4 of an inch of free play. Down the other side. On the other side, side with my cooling system, I have my coolant reservoir, properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken. It's not leaking, it's filled to the proper level. The cap is on tight. I have my belt-driven water pump, properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken. No bolts are missing, it's not leaking. Lower radiator hose is not cut, torn, or frayed, or dry rot, and it's not leaking. Next, I will do lubrication. I have my oil fill tube and my oil dipstick. Both are properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken or missing. Next, I will do steering. Power steering reservoir, power steering hoses. This hose leads to my gear-driven power steering pump. All of those items are properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken, not cut, torn, or frayed, not leaking, and my reservoir is filled to the proper level. Continuing with my steering components, I have my power steering gearbox, my pitman arm, my drag link, my tie rod ends. It's all properly mounted, secured with the caps, nut, and the cotter pin. It's not cracked or broken or missing. Now I'm gonna do suspension. I have my spring mounts, one in the front, one in the back. I have my leaf spring and my U-bolts and my shock absorber. My leaf spring is not cracked or broken or twisted. It's not shifted. It has no illegal wheels. My shock absorber is not cracked or broken or leaking. Now I'm gonna do my air system. I have my air lines and my gear-driven air compressor mounted on the side of the engine, which I cannot see. Both are properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken. My air lines are not cut, torn, frayed, or leaking. It's all properly mounted, secured. Next, my brake system. I have my ABS line and my brake hose, my brake chamber with the push rod inside, my brake caliper with the brake pads inside, and my brake rotor. All are properly mounted, secured, not cracked, broken, or missing. My brake hose and my brake chamber are not leaking, and my brake chamber is not dented, and my brake pads are not worn dangerously thin. All of that. Now I'm on my steer tire. My steer tire is properly mounted, secured. It has no cuts, bulges, or abrasions. Minimum tread depth is 4/32, and it is filled to manufacturer specifications, and it's not leaking. I have my rim and my valve stem properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken, no illegal wheels, and neither are leaking. I have my studs and my lugs properly mounted, secured, not cracked, broken, or missing, and they're not loose. If they were loose, I could possibly see shiny threads or a rust trail in the back of the lug. Lastly, I have my axle oil hub seal, inner and outer. It's properly mounted, secured, it's not cracked or broken or leaking, and the oil level is filled to the proper level. Marker light, turn signal, forward flasher. I will check this light just like I check the lights in the front. I have my mirror and my mirror bracket. Both are properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken, and they're clean. And when I get inside, I will adjust them to me, the driver. I have my door, my handle, my seal, and my hinges. All properly mounted, secured, not cracked, broken, cut, torn, or frayed, or missing. My steps are properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken, and they're free of debris. I have my DEF tank and cap. Both are properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken or leaking, and they're filled to manufacturer specification, and the cap is on tight. In my storage compartment, I have a 10 BC fire extinguisher, fully charged, not cracked or broken or leaking. Safety pin is intact, has an up-to-date sticker. I also have spare fuses, and I have 3 emergency triangles. At the back of the truck, I have my fuel tank and my fuel cap. They're both properly mounted, secured. They're not cracked or broken or leaking. Next, I have my steps and my catwalk, my frame, which runs front to back, and my cross members. All are properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken or missing, and no illegal wheels. I have my drive shaft and my U-joints and my torque arm. and my splash guard. All are properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken or missing. Next, I'll do my suspension. I have my spring mount, my spring and my bushing, my U-bolts, my shock absorber, and my airbag and my airbag mount. All are properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken. The airbag is not cut, torn, or frayed. The airbag and the shock are not leaking. My brakes. I have my brake hose, my ABS line, my brake chamber with the push rod inside, my brake caliper with the brake pads inside, and my brake rotor. I will check those items just like I checked them up in the front. Now, continuing on, I will do my drive tires. I have my bud spacing, which is free of debris. The tires can't touch, but the rims can. Minimum tread depth for these drive tires is 2/32. Next, I will check the tire, the rim, the valve stem, the studs and the lugs, the axle oil hub seal, inner and outer. I will check those items just like I checked up in the front. Go ahead and do my fifth wheel. My fifth wheel, I have my apron and my skid plate. Both are properly mounted, secured. It's well lubricated. It's not cracked, bent, broken, or missing. And then there is no gap between the apron and the skid plate. Next, I have my kingpin and my shank. The locking jaws are locked securely around it, and my release handle is in the lock position. I have my platform and my mounting bolts. Both are properly mounted, secured, not cracked, broken, or missing. I have my sliding locking pins in the lock position with the air release line. All are properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken. The line is not cut, torn, or frayed, or leaking. Did all of that. Okay. At the back of the truck, I will check this mud flap and the DOT reflector tape. Both are properly mounted, secured. My tape is not cut, torn, or frayed, or missing, and my mud flap is not cracked, broken, or damaged. Now we'll do my lights back here. I have my reflectors, turn signals, forward flashes, marker lights, brake lights, and tail lights. All are properly mounted, secured, not cracked, broken, or missing, function properly, and they are the proper color. Okay, now I'm going to do the trailer. So with my trailer, I'm going to start with my emergency line, my service line, and my electrical line, coming from the back of the truck to the front of the trailer with the glad hands and the glad hand seals. My electrical connection with the 7 pins, which are well lubricated, and the safety latches in the lock position. All of those items are properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken. My lines and my glad hands are not cut, torn, or frayed, or leaking. Then I will go to my header board, my top frame rail, my bottom frame rail, side of the trailer, my DOT reflective tape, which covers 50% of the trailer, my floor, and the cross members. All are properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken or damaged. There are no holes in my floor, and my floor is adequately checked to be strong enough to hold a load. At the top, I have my clearance lights. I will check those clearance lights just like I checked them in the front. Now I'm at my landing gear. I would check my landing gear and my crank handle. If the truck is in motion, I will make sure that the landing gear is all the way up. It's not cracked, bent, broken, or damaged, and it has no illegal wheels. I also have enough space between the back of the truck and the landing gear that when I turn, the two don't hit each other. Coming on down, turn signal, forward flash, and marker light. I would check this one just like I checked the lights in the front. Coming on down, I'll start with my suspension. I have my shock absorber, my airbag mount, my control arms, and my control arm bracket. All are properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, broken, damaged, or missing. My airbag is not cut, torn, or frayed. My airbag and my shock absorber are not leaking. Now I'm going to do brakes. I have my ABS line, my brake hose, my brake chamber. All are proper. I will check those items just like I checked them in the front. Then I have my push rod, my clevis pin, my slack adjuster, my brake drums, and my brake linings. All are properly mounted, secured, not cracked, broken, damaged, or missing. My brake linings are not worn dangerously thin, and my slack adjuster has no more than 1 inch of free play with the brakes released. These tires, I would check the bud spacing, the tire, the rim, the valve stem, the studs and the lugs, the axle oil hub seal, inner and outer. I would check those just like I checked them in the front. My tandem release arm and my locking pins, both are properly mounted, secured, not cracked, broken, or missing. The locking pins and the handle are in the lock position. Mud flap, I would check this mud flap just like I checked that one. Door tie bag, properly mounted, secured, not cracked, broken, or missing. ABS light, marker light, both are properly mounted, secured, not cracked, broken, or missing, and they're the proper color, functioning properly. Start with my lights. Marker lights, turn signals, forward flash, and brake light, tail light. All of those lights are properly mounted and secured, and my license plate light. Properly mounted, secured, not cracked, broken, or missing. They're the proper color and they're functioning properly. My license plate is not cracked, broken, or missing, and it's legible. I would check my hinges, my door, my handles, my latches, my door tie backs. All are properly mounted, secured, not cracked, broken, or missing, functioning properly. My DOT bumper and my DOT reflective tape, both are properly mounted, secured, not cracked, broken, or missing. The tape is not cut, torn, frayed, or missing. I would check this side of the truck and trailer, just like I checked that side. Now we're going to get inside and do in-cab. This will be the first time y'all heard in-cab. So I tried it for a little slow. 10 minutes. But guess what? In the real world, when you're doing your pre-trip, it's going to take you 5 minutes to walk the truck. And the main thing is, once you get used to seeing how stuff look, like looking at the tires, I can see the tires are inflated properly. Because once you see they're in the right place, when you do your pre-trip, that's all you're doing. You know, you see guys with the tire thumper, you ain't got to go through all that. The tire looks around at the bottom. I make sure this one is inflated. I make sure that one is inflated. And the good thing about doing your pre-trip after you got your license, all you doing is walking the truck. You ain't got to say nothing. All you do is walk the truck and check everything. Now we're going to close the hood, jump in, do in-cab. Lock it up? Yeah. All right, let's jump in. Did he hit you with the door? Yeah, okay. That's okay? Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm glad you liked it. Swell up on everybody hates Chris. Oh. That's a nice show. Will you jump in? Yeah, I like this shit. Oh, yeah? Yeah. How many miles you got? But you go in and it's free, ain't it? Yeah. Yeah, I ran through my oil changes in about 6 months, man, because I was doing Uber. Okay, now we're doing in-cab. Get the camera back in. Okay, in-cab. My in-cab, I adjusted my seat. Checked my seat belt. My seat belt is not cut, torn, frayed, or ripped. It latches and unlatches properly. I make sure my brakes are set. Vehicle's in neutral. Turn the key on. Watch my gauges sweep. That lets me know they're receiving current and they're working. My ABS lights came on and went off. I just moved the screen to my volts so I can see my volts when it's time to check my gauges. And then I go ahead and turn the key until the engine cranks. Now that the engine is running, I continue on with my pre-trip. In case he didn't hear me when I was outside and I did my mirrors, I started doing my mirrors again. He may say, you did that already, okay. My windshield and my window seal, both are properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken, clean, and no illegal stickers. My seal is not cut, torn, or frayed, or dry rot, and it's not leaking. Since I'm right there, I go ahead and check my wiper arms and my wiper blades. Both are properly mounted, secured, not cracked or broken. The blade is not cut, torn, or frayed, or dry rot. The blades are pressed firmly against the windshield. They operate on high speed, low speed, and my washer fluid works. Next, since I'm right there, I go ahead and do my lights. Low beam, high beam, left turn signal, right turn signal, forward flasher. Go ahead and do my city horn, road horn. Go ahead and do my gauges. I'm going to mention all my gauges. If the examiner says you don't need that gauge, just skip it and go to the next one. So I have my speed, my RPMs, my oil pressure gauge, my fuel gauge, and my DEF gauge. My DEF gauge or my tank has a minimum of 1/8 of a tank. I have my volts, I have my speedometer, my primary and secondary air gauge, and my water temperature gauge. All of my gauges are functioning properly and they're at the proper level. Now that I've checked my gauges, the only thing I have left is my heat and my defrost. I have to show the examiner that my heat and my defrost work. This controls the fan speed, that's the temperature, and that's the zone. I need heat and defrost. I can either go heat and then defrost, or I can do them both at the same time right there. Turn it to that zone, turn the fan all the way up, let the fan kick in, Once the fan kicks in, I'm checking the airflow up top and I'm checking the airflow down below. I have airflow, so now I can cut that off. Then I sit here for a second to make sure I covered everything. And I believe I have. Now I can go ahead and do my tug test. My tug test is going to check the parking brakes on the tractor and the parking brake on the trailer and my service brakes. That's the tug test. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the brake pedal firmly. I'm going to release the parking brake on the tractor. I'm going to put the vehicle into drive. Take my foot off the service brake, lightly hit the accelerator, and make it tug. My parking brake on the trailers is fine. Now I'm going to push in the rear valve, and I'm checking the parking brake on the tractor. Put it back into drive, lightly hit the accelerator, make it tug. They're holding fine. Now, at this point, I have to demonstrate to the examiner that my service brakes are working properly. He's not going to let me do that. He's going to tell me to explain it to him. So when I explain it to him, I will let him know. I will hold the service brake firmly. I will release my parking brakes, put the vehicle into drive, lightly get on the accelerator, get the vehicle up to approximately 5 miles an hour. I will apply firm pressure to the brake pedal. The truck should not go to the left or to the right. That completes my service brake test. Now I'm at the last part of my end cab. The last part of my end cab is the air brake test. The air brake test, first we're going to check the governor cut in and cut out. Then we're going to check to make sure the system isn't leaking, which is the applied test. Then we're going to check to make sure our warning lights are working and my buzzer is working. And lastly, we're going to make sure that the spring brakes are working. So we have 4 things that we're going to check. So we're going to start with the governor cut in and cut out. In order to make the governor cut in, I'm going to pump the brake pedal until the air pressure reaches 90 to 100 psi. For that part of the test, the truck needs to be running. So the truck is running. Now I'm going to pump the brake until the air pressure reaches 90 to 100, but I'm stopping at 100. I'm going to tell the examiner 90 to 100, but I'm stopping at 100. So I pump it down to 100. As soon as it gets to 100, I stop. It's at 100, I stop. Now the air pressure is starting to build back up. The air pressure is going to reach 120 to 140. Then the governor is going to kick out. I will hear a loud burst of air letting me know the governor has kicked out. At this point, I can ask the examiner if I can assist it to build up faster. If he says yes, then I'm going to hold the accelerator at 10 RPMs, and then I'm going to notify him when I hear the governor kick out. And I need to be paying attention to my truck, so I have to listen. The burst of air is coming from the right side up by the air dryer. And I hold it at as close to 10. I don't want to go more than 10 RPMs because it may be hard to hear. My governor just kicked out. For the rest of the test, the truck must be set up. So now I'm going to set the truck up. The first thing I'm going to do is turn the truck off. The minute the engine dies, I turn the key back to the on position to put power to my gauges. Once I have power to my gauges, I'm going to release my parking brakes. I'm going to allow the air pressure to stabilize. I'll know the air pressure is stabilized when the gauges stop moving. Once the gauges stop moving, then I can do my next test. My next test is the applied test. The applied test, I'm going to apply firm pressure to the brake pedal for 1 minute. This is a combination vehicle. I cannot lose no more than 4 psi. So the minute I start applying firm pressure to the brake pedal, I start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I go all the way up to 60, which is a minute, or when the examiner says, okay, that's long enough. Then I let the brake pedal go. He's going to ask me, did I lose more than 4 psi? No, I did not. That completes that test. The next test is I have to check my low air pressure warning light and my low air pressure buzzer. I'm going to fan the brake pedal to approximately 55 psi, and at that point I should get a buzzer and a warning light. So I pump it down to 55. I have my warning light and my buzzer, so I know that system is working okay. The last check is, have to make sure my spring brakes are functioning properly. So I'm going to continue to pump the brake pedal until my air pressure reaches 45 to 20 psi, and they both should pop out. At this point, I start pumping. I watch the valves to make sure they both pop out. They both popped out. At that point, I let the examiner know that concludes my air brake test. That's the end of the test. At that point, he's gonna let me know I passed because I did everything correctly. Then it's time to do skills. So you have to get past pre-trip and in-cab before you get to skills. Once I do skills, he's gonna explain the rules for skills. I do my straight line back, I do my offset, only one side. So if he say do your offset to the left, I do my offset to the left. It's gonna be random. It's gonna be on your registration paper, your voucher when you sign. When you sign in to take your test, all that information, which side you have, is already on the paper. It's just random. So whatever form you get. If it says conventional, that means the right side. If it says sight side, that's the left side. If you're not sure, all you have to do is ask him, am I doing my skills to the left or to the right? And then he'll say left or right. You just make sure when you do them to the side that he said, and don't do the opposite side, because we have students do the wrong side, and then they say, woo, I passed. And he said, no, you didn't follow instructions. So you will have to do your straight line back, offset, parallel. Once you pass all three of those, then it will be time to go do the road test. He's gonna give you specific instructions for the road test. Then you're gonna pull out. When you pull out, there's a stop sign at the gate. When you pull out, test site is set up like that. They got all these lanes going all the way down. Then it's a gate right here for exit. And it's a sign right there. When you come up, that's the gate. When you come out, come over, come back over here, then go like that, and then go out on the angle and go on out the street. But when you get right here, you're gonna stop that truck. You're gonna stop that truck for that stop sign. Or you can pull out and you can have the truck on this angle. That's fine. But you gotta keep it away from the gate here and here. If you get too close to the gate, he's gonna fail you. And then you're gonna go do your road course, and then you're gonna pass. Then we're gonna celebrate. Any questions? That was pre-trip, start to finish. You got it recorded, and I expect you to study it. And I don't want you to just listen to it, I want you to say it. Because listening is one thing, but saying and listening is two different things. So say it and do it. Say it and do it. Even if you sitting in the house or sitting at the hotel room, you can pretend like you're sitting behind the wheel, and you can just go through everything you're gonna check. You can pretend like you're checking everything. That makes sense?
Yep.
Okay. Now we're getting ready to drive. I'm gonna start out again first after we replenish our air supply, because I want to show you an advanced turn, and then I'm getting from under the wheel. And y'all gonna drive.
Have one of your
Help yourself. You can just get them. Y'all don't have to ask for them. That's why they there. And we got one stick of gum left if somebody wants some gum.